Okay. Jennifer, you got your keys on your shoulder.
I carry them everywhere. I'm a graduate student with my backpack too. Hi, I'm glad to have the opportunity to give my testimony, and because I'm not particularly articulate today,
Okay.
I just brought my computer to...
You're going to have to start with your name. And
oh, I'm sorry. I thought because you read it I didn't need to. My name is Jennifer Alexander.
Okay.
And I'm representing myself.
Okay.
And I'm against House Bill 60. I wanted to start off by saying that I have diabetes, and I've had type 1 diabetes since I was 7 years old, and I'm now actually 43. So I'm reaching the stage where I can't have children, but because of my disease, it's pretty much never been a safe choice. And so I have been thankful for all of my adult life that abortion is safe and legal. Beyond that, I'm also the child of two parents who were in the medical field. My father was a physician. He's still alive, but he also had a doctoral degree in public health, and my mother was a nurse and had a master's degree in public health. And they both believed in the ability for women to be able to access safe and legal abortion, although my mother was more on the side of providing adequate birth control and easily accessible birth control for women. But they were for it because it was a public health issue. If you met my father, you would understand he's not a particularly sexual guy, and he's not like pro-free love or anything like that. But as a doctor and as a public health physician, he was for it because it was an issue of public health. And I brought my computer up here because I'm a little nervous and I thought I would forget these. According to the Guttmacher Institute study that was published, I think earlier this year, possibly last year, they did a study of many countries, and what they observed was that in locations where abortion was illegal, rates of abortion actually were not any lower than they were in locations where abortion was actually safe and legal. You may have heard this quoted to you already, but it's true, and they are an unbiased institute that does academic research. In addition, if women are not able to use birth control, they are more likely to abort their own non-viable zygotes than they are if they have access to birth control. And because I'm bringing this up because this is also an issue that the pro-life movement tends to fight, and that is women's safe and inexpensive access to birth control. And the fact is that birth control and abortion actually have lower rates of essentially killing what the pro-life movement seems to want to preserve than do excuse me, I think I messed that up. But in any case, how many seconds do I have left?
You're actually
That's it? Okay. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Okay, Shannon Cavanaugh, here representing herself against the bill. Come on up.
Good evening. My name is Shannon Cavanaugh, and I am representing myself, and I'm against this bill. I am a mother. I'm a professor at the University of Texas, and I'm an expert, I guess, to some, in families and children. And I know something about the kind of demography or the population issues surrounding abortion, unwanted pregnancies, unintended pregnancies. And I could talk to you about that, and people have done a very lovely job. The woman just before me talked about this. And it's interesting, I guess it's the professor in me that is noticing that those who are for this bill talk about these very kind of profound individual stories, these incredibly heartfelt narratives about the choices they've made. And what's really clear in all of these narratives is this idea of choice. And I think that is so important to keep in mind, that in even the most sort of heartbreaking cases, there was this choice that they made, and keeping that choice available to women, to all women, to students in this space right now, to my daughter and my son, is incredibly important to me. If we're really concerned about children and the well-being of women, we must keep these options open. This is not about improving women's health by reducing these clinics, and that's just ridiculousness. I mean, that truly is a ridiculous set of logic, with all due respect. And I just think it's important that, and I just bear witness to this fact, that if we're really interested in taking care of families, supporting Texas women, we need to keep options open for them. Simple as that. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony. David Albert. Have we called David before?
Yes.
Okay, here, Representative Self against bill, and I want to remind folks, once we've called your name and you come back in here, please stay where we don't have to keep running people down, because then I might start skipping over folks. So, comprende on that? Good. Go ahead, David.
Thank you. My name is David Albert. I'm a professor of government. I teach at UT Extension and Austin Community College. You've heard a lot of moving human perspectives. I want to give you a constitutional legal one as somebody who teaches about politics and the Constitution. To go back historically, there was a period of 90 years in Texas when Jim Crow segregation laws applied in Texas. What people may not realize is that under the Constitution of the United States, under the 14th and 15th Amendment, there stated explicitly that all citizens of the United States had protections of equal protection and due process of law, and that those were legally protected by the U.S. Constitution, yet they were ignored in Texas and much of the South by laws that were put in place to go around constitutional rights, such as the poll tax and the literacy tests and the white primary. This is very much the same thing that is being proposed here in these laws, is a modern form of Jim Crow that would deny women the constitutional rights that have been guaranteed to them by the United States Supreme Court and decisions like the Roe v. Wade decision. This is doing exactly what Jim Crow laws were doing. It is making those rights so hard to exercise that they essentially cease to exist, and that the constitutional rights are to be ignored. So a law that would lead to the closing down of, the numbers I've heard are 37 of the 42 abortion clinics in the United States, in the state of Texas, would make it so hard for women to exercise their constitutional rights that they would be denied their constitutional rights. So what I'm suggesting to you is that Texas should be above this. Texas should be better than this. Texas should not be a state that denies people their constitutional rights. We did that for almost a century in Texas, and it was wrong then to deny people voting rights, particularly to deny poor people rights, which was what the poll tax did. The laws being proposed on abortion are essentially a modern form of Jim Crow that would particularly deny poor women, even more than other women, the right to access constitutionally protected abortion services. So I ask you to be better than what we've been in the past and make this a better state. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Jane Norton, here representing herself for the bill. Is Jane Norton here? We'll show her for the bill, not testifying. Sabine, excuse me, Danielle Corley, here representing herself against the bill. Is Ms. Corley here? We'll show her against the bill, not testifying. Cynthia Corral. Cynthia Corral here representing herself against the bill. We'll show her against the bill, not testifying. Steve Coyle. Is Steve Coyle here representing himself against the bill, not testifying? C-O-Y-L-E. Okay, Steve is not here, not testifying. Susan Cummings. Susan Cummings is representing herself, testifying against the bill.
Hi, my name is Susan Cummings. I'm here testifying against the bill. I am a constituent of Representative Wayne Smith in Baytown. I'm here to testify against this bill because of three main reasons. One, it is not necessary. Two, the medical procedure these bills seek to restrict is legal. And three, the people of the state of Texas support a woman's right to choose and her right of access. Requiring abortions to be performed within 30 miles of a hospital at which the doctor has admitted privileges will not make women safer. Why? Because having a legal abortion is a less dangerous procedure than giving birth. A study released Monday reveals that women are about 14 times more likely to die during or after giving birth to a live baby than to die from complications of a legal abortion at a freestanding clinic. Using government data and statistics from the Guttmacher Institute from 1998 through 2005, the study reveals that one woman died during childbirth for every 11,000 babies born. During that same time period, only one woman out of every 167,000 died from a legal abortion. So clearly, the danger is not as it has been portrayed. Since the state does not require women to submit to hospital births, where surely they would be safer, why is the state considering a requirement for them to be close to a hospital for a less dangerous procedure? The restrictions in House Bill 60 fly in the face of the wishes of Texans. A February poll conducted by the Texas Freedom Network shows broad support for a woman's right to choose and her right to family planning services, birth control, and abortion. That support crosses political, racial, generational, and geographic lines. Given the public's distaste for intrusive government, and given the fact that legal abortion in this country is less likely to kill a woman than childbirth, the increasing restrictions force me to conclude that the issue isn't one of safety at all, but rather political expediency. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Cynthia Corral, here representing herself against the bill.
Yes, hello, my name is Cynthia Corral. I'm here representing myself, and I'm a constituent of Representative Donna Dukes. I'm here to testify against HB 60 because I believe it is unfair and perpetuates discrimination against women in general, and specifically against women and families living in poverty and those who live in rural and West Texas. Furthermore, I believe the passing of this bill can lead to women finding themselves in dangerous situations. I have been a medical social worker for 7 years. I worked in the perinatal arena these 7 years, and specifically in a women's health facility for the past 4 years. Therefore, I have firsthand knowledge about reproductive health and the issues associated with it. I'm not here representing my employer. I'm here as a concerned citizen. I worked at 4 hospitals, and I can tell you that if anyone shows up, I think the bill's requirement for termination providers to have admitting privileges within 30 miles is ludicrous. I worked at 4 hospitals, and I can tell you that if anyone shows up with any medical need, they will not be denied care because their provider does not have admission privileges to the hospital. Despite my background and my knowledge, I will support my argument with a personal story. The passing of this bill would likely lead to the closure of all facilities that perform terminations that are west of I-35. I was born and raised in El Paso and have lived in Austin for 13 years. Traveling to and from these cities has sometimes proven to be difficult and expensive. When I was 22, I was traveling from Austin to El Paso. I had a tire blowout on a Sunday evening in the middle of nowhere, Texas. There were no towns nearby and very few cars driving by. I attempted changing the tire myself, but perhaps because I was so scared, I didn't have the strength to undo the lug nuts. Luckily, I could afford to pay for a cell phone, and I was even more fortunate to actually receive signal where I was stopped, because to this day, there are stretches of road in West Texas where you don't get reception. I called 911 and asked for a state trooper. The operator said she didn't know how long it would take. While I was on the phone, two men pulled over and offered to help me. I decided to test my fortune and hope that these men would not try to hurt, rape, kidnap, or even kill me. I provided the operator with the identifying information for the men and their vehicle and as a precautionary measure. Luckily, the men were very helpful and did not harm me in any way. I was lucky. Now imagine being a woman who resides in West Texas, has to make the difficult decision to terminate her pregnancy, and is now driving back to her hometown post-procedure and also has a tire blowout. What if she is not as lucky as I was? The representatives who wrote
If we
this,
could start wrapping it up now, your time.
in conclusion, I say to the author of the bill, you couldn't travel 3 blocks to a hospital located 3 blocks from the Capitol, but you're willing to make women drive hundreds of miles, putting themselves in potentially dangerous situations to obtain the termination. Do not put Texas women in danger. Vote against HB 60.
Thank you very much for your testimony.